Good evening. This is Jack from Charlton Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 20th of July. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own chance. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. Right. Okay, let's have a look at ES. Now, ES, we've still got a nice looking potential level top. No current negative divergence. I'm still leaning towards this going a little higher because we haven't quite made my targets on YM. On NQ, we had a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed, and we've still got a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed. That hasn't reached the possible near miss target. RTY, the same. That hasn't reached the possible near miss target either. I'd like to see a retest of this high on RTY, and on YM, where we haven't got a signal at the moment, we've got a pretty decent looking bull flag sitting up here at the moment, and I would like to see this make a full retest of this high, and I would like to see it make a new all-time high on the Dow chart. We'll talk more about that on the bigger picture charts. On DAX, we've got an IHS which is broken up. What would it take for this to fail? It might have already failed, actually, or at least it's very, very close. Nope, it's on the cusp. Goes any lower, and the IHS fails. Otherwise, I'm expecting to see a retest of this high. I'm thinking we might see that retest anyway. ESTX, we've got a possible IHS forming here, actually. Let's have a quick look at, sorry, let's just draw the trend line on here. Sorry, I haven't really looked at the trend line since we saw the reopen. But actually, this is a pretty decent looking IHS right here. Hasn't broken up yet, might not, of course, but if it does, yeah, it's a very decent IHS, actually. But if it does, then we will be looking at basically another target back at a retest of the high, which is something I would like to see, because this hasn't made a full retest this high. This isn't something where I really watch the daily sell signals, but I would very likely get a daily sell signal break. So bear with me a moment, to move that slightly. That's the IHS neckline. Okay, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. All right, looking at SPX, on ES, we've still got RSI 14 sell signal and RSI 5 sell signal fixed, of course, and we've got exactly the same on SPX. Looking at the hourly chart, we've still got a 60-minute sell signal fixed. I'm still expecting that to make target, but it doesn't need to make it immediately. On the 15-minute chart, no current divergence. We've made, obviously, marginal higher highs here. I'd like to see that go a little higher, although we do have quite a nice looking double top here at the moment. Looking at the Qs, we've got a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing, and we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We could lose that sell signal if it goes much higher. I'm rather hoping that doesn't happen because I'm quite attached to it. On the hourly chart, we've still got an RSI 14 hourly sell signal fixed. I'm still leaning towards this going a little higher, but there is a caveat there, because if we reach, hang on, wait a second. Sorry, I've been switching over to the new dashboard set up on stock charts. It's not quite as nice a trend line, but if we do see on the Qs reach this trend line here, at that stage I would redraw the rising support trend line to show the wedge is basically expanded and not broken. Do I like that as much? Well, I have to say the resistance trend line isn't quite as nice, but it would still be more than acceptable. And in terms of it not being quite as nice, well, sometimes they aren't quite as nice. But if that was the case, then I would redraw the wedge to look like that. We still wouldn't have much time before these wedge lines would meet, and I'm really not expecting this to go an awful lot higher, but I would like to see Dow go a little higher, and IWM as well a little. In terms of the Qs 15-minute chart, still got an okay possible double top. This is still possible bot topping action. I still got, actually this is a 15-minute sell signal fix, so bear with me, I'll just change that to show that. So that is an RSI 14 sell signal is fixed, and there is definitely scope to see a bit about downside here. I don't think we're quite done to the upside, because apart from anything else, one, tariff, there's plenty of time to taco before the end of July. And also the other thing is, also scheduled for the end of July, is the court case on whether the president has the power to actually impose the tariffs. And of course, if the court says no, then that is obviously going to significantly change the tariff negotiations. That doesn't mean the tariffs will be going away. It means the current tariffs would go away, but there may well be, there are other methods they were talking about as a potential way to do tariffs, and obviously Congress is thoroughly subservient at the moment, so they won't be looking to reclaim their taxpayers with any enthusiasm. So, but nonetheless, that could have a big impact and delay tariffs quite a bit. Looking at Dyer, no current divergence. We won't get on the RSI 5, but we may get some on the RSI 14. I would like to see a retest of this high here at 448.68 and a little higher because we haven't made a new all-time high yet on the Dow chart. So we need to go just a little higher for that. Not much, but a bit. I would like to see that made because that would improve the quality of this double top here, which I'm thinking, depending on how things go for the rest of the year, might actually play out. All right, looking at the hourly chart, we've still got RSI 14 sell signal fixed, but it's now reached possible near miss target. I'm going to call that and finalize it if we can get back to the 70 level. On Dyer, the RSI 14 sell signal has reached possible near miss target on the 15-minute chart, and this is a pretty decent looking flag. I'm liking it. So I think this is a bull flag forming, and I think it should set up a retest of this high. Let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on IWM. Okay, IWM. On the daily chart, we've got the IHS, which is broken up. I am doubtful about this making target at this stage. Although it might be, if the tariffs are ruled illegal, that we get another extension higher. Maybe. But I'm not ruling it out altogether, but at the moment I think it's looking like a bit of a long shot. Nice looking support tested recently, as we've got on Dyer as well. I'm liking this. RSI 5 sell signal fixed, RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and I'm thinking these are going to start playing out in the not too distant future, likely in a few days. On the hourly chart, no current divergence. You can see that's a pretty decent wedge, and it has broken down very slightly here. Ideally, we'd retest this high here, set up a double top, and then it's off to the races. On the 15-minute chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, hasn't quite reached the possible near miss target. We'll see how it goes. Looking at DAX, decent support again at the daily middle band and the 50 DMA, which are currently still together. We've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed, not going to be getting anything on the RSI 5, and a very nice looking overall double top. Nikkei, holding support at the daily middle band. I think we've got a little higher to go before we start seeing the daily middle bands break on a big scale across the indices, but I am thinking that time is coming soon. If we were to see a retest of this high here at 40.9, we would get a possible daily RSI 14 sell signal brewing here on the Nikkei as well. All right, let's have a look at the dollar. This is a possible opportunity to go back and retest this low and set up a potential large double bottom. Now you can see I've drawn in a possible IHS neckline, and that could be the alternative here, but it's a nice looking double top. There are some indications that this might happen, so I'm watching it carefully, and I do like the fact that the support's very close to the monthly pivot. Break and convert that, and we've got a nice clear run into a retest of the lows. Looking at, the other currencies, EUR/USD, nice looking double bottom. GBP USD, less nice looking double bottom. USD JPY, less nice looking double top. We've got some indications here. In terms of USD CAD, this looks like a rising wedge which is starting to break down, and obviously this would lean bearish. I'm quite liking the dollar going down into a retest, so I'm thinking that's got a shot. We shall see. Australian dollar, we've got a nice looking double top that's already broken down. Nice big rally here, but it may well just resume the downtrend. I'm not really seeing an awful lot to hang my hat on NZ, because we had a decent topping pattern there and it's already made target. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. Okay, and for some reason these charts don't appear to be up, so I'll just open them now. Bear with me a moment. I've been messing around with the sort of the structure of my charts and stock charts this weekend. So that's why these charts aren't open, because I've been rearranging all my folders and so on. Okay, USD on the monthly chart, no current divergence, but I'm thinking if we see a retest of this low, we can set up positive divergence on the monthly chart, which would be a great thing to see if we are actually going to see a retest of these highs. That might break us down through the rising support if we did see a retest, but that wouldn't mean that this was breaking down hard now. That might just mean we were breaking down before retesting the high, sell up second high double top, and then going down. That would not be unusual. On the weekly chart, we got a possible weak RSI 14 buy signal brewing. We've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed. That leans bullish. Obviously, a beautiful flag, which I've talked about many times. USD, in the short term, on the daily chart, we've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed. And obviously, we've seen this short-term wedge break up, and we're testing the 50 DMA. This would be a pretty obvious time to go back and retest the low if it's going to. On the shorter-term daily chart, you can see the overall falling wedge that's broken up. It's pretty nice. And the week's RSI 5 sell signal is fixed, which almost ranked as a full sell signal, but not quite. But it's pretty close and it's pretty decent, and I'm thinking it might deliver. We shall see. All right, looking at the euro overall pattern setup, I mean, obviously it's different, but in terms of do we have bear flags on the euro and GBP which closely match the bull flag on US dollar? Yes, we do. That's the one on the euro. That's the one on GBP. RSI 14 sell signal fixed, RSI 5 sell signal fixed on GBP. Those are suggesting, those are backing up the weekly buy signals on the US dollar chart. In terms of the daily charts here, not really seeing as much, but we are breaking slightly below this rising wedge support. This would be an obvious time to retest the low if it's going to. We shall see. On USD JPY, leaning towards the downside here, but that doesn't mean we can't do some. If we see the dollar rise, this will likely rise with it. USD CAD would likely rise with it too. And this could ideally set up a retest this high, and that gives us a nested double top in claim the main one. In terms of the dollar going back and retesting the high, I'm still quite liking it. I'm seeing quite a lot of support for that on the other currency charts. Okay, let's have a look at bonds. All right, ZB. ZB, we got a head and shoulders here. It's broken down and it's been giving it some thought and consolidating below the neckline. Could this be a bull flag wedge? Not a bull flag, I don't think, but it could be a falling wedge and this could break up. But I'm really liking the retest of this low. We'll see how that goes. On ZN, I've got another head and shoulders here as well. It's broken down as well. It's got a target to retest the low as well. So I'm really liking both of those. We will see if they can, whether the consolidation will finish, and we will head down to those targets. Looking at TNX on the 60-minute, we've got an IHS which is broken up with a target to retest this high here at 46.29. I like it. TLT, we've got a head and shoulders which is broken down with a target to retest this low here at 82.678. I like that too. TYX, I would say, is a potential red flag here. I think this is the level at basically a yield of 5%, where the Treasury was buying bonds, where the US Treasury started buying treasuries. So not the Fed unusually, it was the US Treasury directly under Scott Bassett. I'm thinking they're probably buying treasuries here, so there will be some resistance to yields going up and bonds going down. But unless they're going to buy on a big scale, it isn't necessarily going to make a huge amount of difference. I could tell you stories of how when past times it hasn't made much of a difference. We haven't really got time. Take my word for it. It doesn't necessarily make a huge amount of difference, even though logically you'd think it would. All right, great. Let's have a look at the CL chart. Okay, CL, we are kicking around the monthly pivot, consolidating sideways. I'm leaning towards the downside on the bigger picture, but not with any huge conviction. HO, I've got a nice looking rising mode here, and we've overthrown bearishly here, and it's heading back towards support. I would like to see this break down and head back into a retest this low here in the 2.2 area. We'll see whether we get that. RBOB, we've got rising megaphone, broke down, a rising top has formed, that's broken down too. I still like the downside. Retest this low here, so we shall see how that goes. MG, actually marked this in on the, I marked this little level top in on the charts I did this afternoon. As you can see, it's already made target. I'm thinking we're either forming an IHS right shoulder here, in which case the ideal right shoulder would be in about the 3.27 area, or we're going to head back and retest the low and possibly continue lower. Now, we've got a nice looking falling wedge, but potentially if this is just a retracement from a falling wedge, then potentially it's completed that already. We shall see. Let's just have a quick look and establish whether we have formed a channel here. I don't believe we have. And we haven't. So we shall see how it goes. But I'm quite liking a retest of this low. But if this is an IHS forming, and it could be, and if we're going higher, then it probably is, then I'd be looking for a retest, an ideal right shoulder low in about the 3.27 area. All right, no current divergence there. GC. Oh, right, hang on. Let's just do that quickly. Right, WTech. On the daily chart, we've got an weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed. We haven't been doing much about that. We have been testing for about a week and a half the daily middle band, and so far that's been holding. We have been above it intraday and tested the I think that's the 200 dim. Yeah, it is. But at the moment that's holding as resistance as well. As long as there's a holding as resistance, I'm leaning towards this continuing down. If that breaks and converts, then actually that opens the upside. We shall see. Looking at heating oil, this has been holding above the daily middle band, but I'm inclined to take the lead from WTech rather than the others. Gas oil has also been holding above the daily middle band, but not as well, and is really trying to break below it. We shall see. Nat gas, I'm leaning towards the downside here. I'm looking for at least some more downside. If we are going to see a serious move up, though, this could be an IHS, but I'm really leaning towards this going lower in all probability. We are in a seasonal period when this tends to go lower, and I'm not seeing much reason why this would go up. All right, let's have a look at the precious metals. On GC, we've got this rising wedge breaking down. I am wondering about a retest of this high, but this could take this somewhat lower. On SI, we made this, I was talking about the 29 area, 39 area for a while, and we made it, and we've hit some pretty impressive looking resistance there. I'm wondering whether we're topping out there short term. On palladium, nice little retrace here. We have sell signal, reached possible near miss target. Not seeing an obvious reversal pattern here. On platinum, possible double top maybe. HG, this is consolidating sideways. Obviously, we're due to have a 50% tariff on copper in the US starting in 1st of August. That's keeping the price high because people are buying ahead. We shall see how that goes. We do have a possible weak 60-minute sell signal brewing. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on gold. Okay, monthly charter, we just noticed we've got a bit of negative divergence here, but on the RSI 5, but we used to have it on the RSI 14. We just went through it. We could do that, yeah. On the daily charts, we've not really got anything particularly interesting here. We've got this flag which is broken up with a targeted retest of the high at 3,500. We could go and get that at more or less any time. I am thinking we might be forming a larger flag, but that might just be doodling because we've been taking a while making it, so I'm considering possible alternatives. All right, looking at silver, I had a number of trend lines drawn in here. We went slightly over this one, which is a very nice one. And we went slightly over this one, very, very slightly, which is actually the same trend line. And this is a different trend line, and we've gone up and basically hit that exactly. I'm wondering about some resistance here. We do already have an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed as well. I am wondering whether we are going to see some retracement here, and we might. All right, looking at palladium on the daily chart, we've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing. We've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. I am wondering about some retracement here. Could this be an overall bear flag? Not a high quality one, no. But could it be one? Yes. Does it look like a high quality double bottom? No. All right, platinum. RSI 14 sell signal fixed, RSI 5 sell signal fixed. Having said that, it's gone up quite a bit since those both fixed. We've got obvious support at the daily middle band at the moment. If we see a break below that, then we can see a retracement, which is more than due after this very, very sharp move up. We will see how that goes. On copper, I've drawn in a possible trend line here. I am wondering if that might hold, and I'm thinking it might. But that's actually not the only trend line. I've got another one up here, but they're both pretty close. They've both got resistance under 580, and I'm really expecting this to see a reversal on this before then. All right, GDX could be a bull flag forming. GDXJ, this could be a bull flag or a triangle forming here as well. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities. KC. KC, we've got a rising wedge breaking down, weak 6-minute sell signal that's fixed. I am wondering about a retest of this low. On sugar, rising wedge again. Could this be an IHS forming? Yes. Does it really look like one? Not particularly. So this could be the right shoulder we're about to form here, but I think we're going to see a breakdown, and that could involve a retest of the low. Looking at CC, CC, we've got a falling wedge, arguably, but to be honest, the trend lines aren't great. Do we have any better trend lines now? I think I checked this already, but the answer is no. So this is a possibly still a falling wedge, but I did say this might just continue lower, and I'm wondering if it's just continuing lower. CT, we had a head and shoulders here. It broke down, it failed, and I'm expecting to see a retest of this high here at 69.5. Lumber, we had a double top breakdown, and it's largely rejected, and I'm leaning towards seeing a retest this high here at 675. Looking at ZW, possible bottoming action, a little large for a double bottom. We've got a weak 6-minute sell signal fix. I am looking at potential lower targets on the bigger picture charts. Corn, the same. Rising wedge, maybe about to break down. Could see it deliver a low retest on soy. We saw a very sharp move up, and then we've seen a sharpish move down. 6-minute sell signal is fixed, hasn't made target yet. Looking at soybean oil, we've got a pretty nice looking rising megaphone here. Obvious next target would be a megaphone support in about the 53.4 area. Looking at live cattle and lean hogs, I've rolled both of these into October. From August, and could this be a double top? Yes, but there's not much suggesting that it is. Lean hogs, we've got a very nice looking. This was a very different falling megaphone. It had already broken up on the August chart, but on the October chart, you draw the chart you are given. So this is a larger falling megaphone that hasn't broken up yet. So the next obvious target is that as it crosses the monthly pivot at 92.76, breaking conversion of that sets up a retest of this high. So we shall see how that goes. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on that. And coffee. Nice little move up here. No current divergence. This could be a bull flag. So if we see a retest this low, that wouldn't weaken that. That would be a double bottom, setting up a potential move up into the 3.55, 3.6 area. I am wondering whether we're on the way back to tracking back up to 4.1. If we lose this this support trend line here hard, then I think we're going probably significantly lower. Bigger picture, we're still at pretty elevated prices by historical standards. This was the high for the last few years, and to be honest, if I look further back, it doesn't really get any higher than that. This was a significant departure from historic levels. Sugar, we've still got this big head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target in the 6.5 to 9 area, and I'm still wondering if that might make target shorter term though. I am thinking this could be a falling wedge. It's a pretty nice falling wedge. We could be bottoming out here. We shall see. If we saw a retest of the low on sugar, then that could just be forming a double bottom, and we've still got a weak RSI 14 buy signal that has fixed. Now, cocoa, again, by historical standards, we're in very rarefied territory. And this is one reason why I'm thinking it might just continue down. Could this double top make target? Theoretically, but probably not. On the daily chart, no current divergence, retesting this low here, and I'm thinking this is an opportunity to turn back up, but we've not really got a good pattern set up for that. I'm thinking this might just continue lower. Looking at wheat, I'm still wondering about a possible retest this low here at 495.5 short term. Not really a lot to say. Fighting a lot over the daily middle band without any real sign of any resolution. Looking at corn, we've got a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing. There's a very, very obvious retest down here in the 385 area, and on the bigger picture, I am wondering about a possible retest of 307.25, but I am very much wondering about 385. That is a very obvious target. This possible, this likely. So I'm leaning towards seeing that, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen next. Looking at soybeans, I'm still wondering about a retest. This looks like a bear flag. I've been saying this looked like a bear flag for months. Still looks like a bear flag. I am leaning towards this heading down and retesting 93606, this low here, because that's what flags usually do. We will see. No current divergence on the daily chart. We obviously haven't broken below flag support yet, but I'm thinking we might well. We shall see. All right, looking at cotton. Cotton, this is the wedge that hasn't broken up. All the others have on the grains. This obviously isn't a grain, I'm not saying, but we've got similar patterns. This one hasn't broken up, but we're getting very close to resistance, and I'm thinking it might. If we are in a bottoming process, then we've actually already got a pretty nice looking double bottom here. I think this could just break up. So waiting to see, and I've got resistance in about the 68.5 area. Not a lot to say on the lumber chart. This looks very different to the one I'm looking at, because actually it's been very hard to do chart lumber on the daily charts. So we will see how that goes. Bigger picture, I think this is fairly rarefied territory for the demand picture we're looking at, and bigger picture, I'm leaning towards the short side. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch everyone on Wednesday. Take care.